and welcome to another video. Today I want to delve into the world of cheating in League, and do keep in mind that this video is purely informational, just so you can get educated on the topic, and not so that you start cheating or anything related to that. We have three main topics though. Firstly, we're going to go into the cheating which is completely gameplay based. Then this would mean something like scripts. Then we will have a segment on botting, which is pretty similar but a bit different. It's just to get new accounts to level 30. And lastly, we'll have an external vase where people exploit the system, or they use something that's not even related to League to win games, and so on. So let's start off with the most well-known way to cheat. So scripting, right? There have always been private and public ones, and some were free, some were very expensive, and so on. But what do scripts actually do? Generally, the idea is that scripts take over playing some part of the game for you, or pretty much every part of the game for you other than making decisions. So whether that be kiting, hitting spells, dodging spells, tracking cooldowns, automatically smiting, and so on, scripts can do it all. Here we have three types of scripters though. So the first kind will use everything. They will basically just hold their keys, like spacebar or whatever, which makes the character play fights on its own, right? Then the second type will actually bother to set up some stuff. So maybe they will toggle it, maybe they have delays, maybe they don't use some stuff like auto dodging, which is also known as evade, or whatever else they might do. While the third type of scripter is actually kind of the worst, but kind of the least cheating. But it's the worst in the sense of it's kind of really hard to show that they're actually cheating, because these people are like decent or good players or whatever, who decide, well, why don't I use information from scripts? So let's say that a jungler uses the fact that scripts can show which camps we're taking on the enemy team, or well, that's what I've been shown, told, that if you're scripting, you can actually see which camps are taken by the enemy jungler without vision. So pretty funny, I suppose. Or perhaps auto smite, which I've been told by some people that people tend to use a lot. Or when people were spotted on the map, it like marks it and then shows you how far they could have gone. Or it just shows you what sums they have, what cooldowns on their spells, and so on, and how much damage you do. So yeah, that stuff can level up someone's game by a few hundred LP points, and they can pretty much get away with it. But okay, so how do these things work? Like scripts in general, right? So these things usually inject into the client, they read data and then they adjust, and they have some kind of equations in the form of add-ons, which are little, let's say, extensions that they download, and they add them to their scripting program, and that thing will run that, and it's going to actually adapt to the champion and whatever they want to do. Like for example, if they want to auto smite, or if they want the champion to do stuff on its own, or whatever else. So they just have that. And how do we actually identify a cheater like this, right? So I've been told that the guy that we're spectating right now is actually a scripter, right? And the way that you usually identify scripters is by looking at the way that they play, because the way that they play is usually not the human way, because they don't try to play consistent. They try to like just abuse their script, right? So whether that be knowing that you're going to dodge everything, knowing that you're going to hit everything, or it's just getting like max DPS at all times, and so on, right? So like this, for example, this is like a pretty weird way to play. Like, why would someone instantly cleanse there? It's weird. But okay. So we haven't really confirmed or denied anything yet. And let's just keep going. And we can try to actually get a case. So fights are usually pretty interesting parts of the game to look at when you're looking at a scripter, because most of them will actually use it in fights, because that's like their main advantage. So his champion completely bugged out there, if you saw it, which was pretty interesting. And that's a known bug on this current patch, where auto attacks get cancelled. But you can see how he instantly, when the auto attack is cancelled, like he tries to do it again, see? Which is a pretty weird thing to see. But okay. No problem. We can just keep looking. And we're gonna try to identify if this guy is actually cheating or not. so that we have a little example of a case. I believe he fights soon, so let's see. Usually these people who are scripting will also play champs like Ezreal or Zeri or something, and they're going to end up weaving their spells and auto attacks really oddly, because they're going to weave every auto attack on Ezreal, for example, or they're going to weave the Zeri auto attack with her Qs and stuff like that, and it's gonna end up looking pretty weird. So okay, how does he end up playing this fight? So he cleanses this for no apparent reason, which is pretty weird, because that basically tells you that, okay, he walked back, but then he decided to cleanse it anyway, which is really weird. And the way that he's playing this is just really bizarre. So I would say that this guy is probably scripting, but we would obviously look for more evidence if we were going to actually completely hard accuse him, right? But at the moment he looks pretty suspect, and when people look suspect, they usually end up being one of those. His most played is also Zeri and Ezreal, so pretty interesting. Either way, it doesn't really matter if this guy is cheating or not, as we just wanted to have a quick look at it. And yeah, he just looks really weird. But anyway, next up we can talk about botting. So what does botting really mean for us, right? Okay, so continuing where we left off, we have the botting incident, right? So this would mean that someone here uses either a scripting program to inject and make it play on its own, right? So they use an add-on, which is like a bot now, and they do that. In which case it reads the data and it does that stuff, right? And that's how a lot of these accounts end up being leveled, like these €3 accounts or something. Like no one is going to level an account for €3 and then boast an account with only blue essence like this, right? This is obviously always going to be botted accounts, and this drives the price of League of Legends accounts down and their value in general, but you're not allowed to sell them anyway, so it doesn't really matter for us. But yeah, it's something to keep in mind. While there are also programs which read your screen, right? And then they click, they like read the pixels on your screen, so they're called pixel bots. They then end up clicking with your actual mouse, and you can imagine them as a kind of advanced auto-clicker, where one might say an auto-clicker would have the same function, but this one just swaps between targets on its own. So it reads what's going on your screen and decline and whatever, and then it does that. And most of these are really simple. These tend to be pretty safe for people as far as I know, and it's pretty hard to tell them apart from an actual player, because all they do is really, they click with the mouse, and then when they get into a game, they F key or something, they follow a teammate, and that's it. And they're not really too sophisticated most of the time, but that's kind of what they do. Lastly, though, I want to talk about exploits. So in this case, we have people like Doanel or something, right? And I can bring that up also. So yeah, here we have the well-known incident where Doanel or Dantes got his account banned for transferring too much because they called it MMR boosting. And this brings us into our last segment, where we can talk about exploits, abuse, and external cheating, which doesn't use the programs previously mentioned, so like scripts or whatever. And so here you would think like MMR exploits, so like this, for example, they would spam transfer, hope for a lucky streak, and then skyrocket an LP because it counts them as like a sort of fresh account where they would then end up getting a lot of MMR and whatever, and it was just really disgusting. People would duo queue with stuck accounts to avoid Smurf queue, but get insane MMR anyway, which would make it easier for them to actually climb compared to those who actually played Smurf queue. And the thing is, you don't really need it to be super easy for you, you just need it to be hard for other people, and then you will get more MMR than them. And MMR, the way it really works is like you just are compared to other people, really. Even though people always tell you not to compare yourself, like MMR system does compare you, so it's pretty interesting. Then people would, for example, DDoS, so they would try to make their teammates or their enemies or whatever connection to the server interrupt in whatever way. They would use programs to see their teammates, so these exist right now where it's champ select anonymity and you can see your teammates anyway. There were even programs which showed you which enemy players you were playing against. There were programs which showed you before you accepted the game who would be on your team and who would be in the enemy, as far as I know, but I never actually saw those in action. I just have heard of them. And then people would also stream snipe, ghost, win trade, get boosts, queue on like old patch. Like this is another trick that they used to do. So you see how there's like a patch here, right? And what they would do is they just basically wouldn't update their account, their client, right? They wouldn't update their client. And what they would do is just, okay, I will set an old client. All of my friends will also set an old client, and then we will queue on some random accounts. I want to win, they don't want to win. And they will just give me the wins, and it's going to be really easy to snipe each other. So that was a pretty funny thing that some people did. Then there was also, for example, buying iron accounts, which is what this Scripter 1v9 guy does. This guy and the Evelyn that has like 100% win rate Diamond 4 or whatever. Like these people, when they do like their high win rate accounts, they always like buy like iron accounts or something. And then they would just go and, okay, this is like normal account. So then he ends up with 80 or 90 win rate or something, even though he's funneling. And then you have like accounts like these where it's like 100 wins and 2 losses, like Diamond 1. Okay, I mean, that's very cool, but you play like lower elo than you would if you were actually playing like fresh account or something. And also you're playing from iron, so like 70 of those games are like iron to like gold or something, and then like the other 40 are like plat and diamond, so take that as you will. Though this doesn't really harm anyone too much, it's just an ego boost that people use. And then there was also sniping yourself, so opening multiple league clients. So the way that you can open multiple league clients is you go on the league shortcut, you go here, and at the end you add this command. Oh no, wait, it's like this. So you do like the double dash, allow dash, multiple dash clients, and then you would click OK, and then you can open a second. Right. Thank you, guys. Then you could open a second client and the third client and whatever, and then you could snipe yourself and you could actually win trade yourself or whatever, if you had accounts to do that with. Or if you had multiple PCs or virtual machines or whatever. Yeah. We could honestly make a whole nother video on all of these things which people have abused and will continue to abuse in the future. But I think that is enough about that right now. And I just wanted to give you a short overview of the way that people have tried to exploit the system, cheated, and so on. And the way they probably will in the future and the way they do it right now also. Either way, I hope you learned something new. That'll be all for today. And if you enjoyed the video, do like and subscribe. And maybe you can comment if you ever cheated in any game you played. Surely we all did cheat in Minecraft or GTA at some point, because there's just no way that anyone who played those games never tried it. Either way, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Peace.